Hey guys, hopefully we made it. Oh, look at this. We've got a celebrity guest star. We got a celebrity among us.
How's
So,
everyone doing?
doing great. I just clicked the live button and you popped in. So,
Excellent.
I hope everything looks okay on the screen and stuff. I don't know how much lag we're going to have. I hope everybody's hearing the audio. And took quite a while to get this stuff set up. But tonight, I've got Sergeant E5 ETS. He is the gentleman that actually got the records on Jeremy Dewitte. He's the one that sent in the FOIA and got the records back that showed that Jeremy had absolutely no service whatsoever. So he's with us tonight, and we have a guest appearance from Sergeant Blue Bacon out on the, the other coast. Uh, it's kind of hard to get everybody's schedules together. One guy's mid south, down south. I'm up in the northeast, and Blue's all the way over on the other coast in the northwest. So trying to get everything together. Um, and I mean, the first thing I want to say is, first and foremost, Jeremy could save himself so much trouble by just giving us an apology. Come out, say, hey, look, I'm full of it. I never did any of that stuff. I got caught up in the moment and I started bragging and I couldn't stop. But he won't do it. I've told him, I said, send me an email. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you on the phone. I'll help you through this. I have busted probably 2 dozen phonies since I retired from the military and even beforehand. But so I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant E5 ETS, and we're going to go over some stuff. Blue, go ahead and toss in as we're going along. He actually zoomed in on the whole ribbon rack thing and broke it down and figured out what a bunch of the ribbons are. And yeah, and he's also got a copy of the letter and the FOIA request that he sent in to NPRC back, and he got the return on that in February last year. So, I mean, it's been common knowledge that Jeremy never served for quite a while. But, Sarge, go ahead. I'll let you take it.
Thank you, Sergeant. I guess there's going to be a lot of sergeants here tonight. Blue, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I just got off of work, found out this was happening, and decided that it'd be fun to join in. So looking forward to putting my 2 cents on in here. We know how I feel about this whole situation. I got my teacup ready and everything.
Well, I tell you what, I've been working on these ribbons, and there's still 2 or 3 of them, and maybe we can all play a game and identify 2 or 3 of them because I'm really having heck with a couple of them. But and they're clear. It's just finding them. So
yeah. I tried when I first saw that photo. I tried. The problem is I'm a little bit colorblind, and that image quality is not great.
right.
And I eventually gave up. But it's good that other people are taking that up and doing what I couldn't.
Right. And of course, you've got the paperwork that I had sent you and as others. So I tell you what, let me get to my screen here and we'll get started on this. It's kind of a little presentation here.
And I apologize if I have to adjust screens here. Working with Zoom and with OBS, it's kind of weird the way it pops in. So when he shares the screen, I'll go ahead and make the adjustment.
Okay, y'all can see that?
Yeah, you should be able to see that okay.
Blue, can you see that?
It looks good.
Okay. For those that are not aware, this is I believe at this point in time in his life, this is Major DeWitte and his wife at some function, and he's dressed in his Class A uniform. It's clear that he's got some combat stuff going on here. Looks like air assault. I think Master Sergeant, y'all went over all this down here, didn't you? And the infantry and all that the other day, didn't you?
I went over some of it. I didn't go over a lot of it.
Okay. So what I did was I said, well, let's just start cutting this thing down and just get him by himself and start isolating this. Got down there on this conglomeration right here on his chest, and we got some issues we're dealing with here trying to figure this out. And the first thing is we had to identify that we still have an earring hanging right here. His lapel's covering some of it up. So what I did was straighten it up, and then I sectioned it off. Of course, those of us that are in the military know the order and know about where the breaks are at and where they're going to stack up. Do we both, all three of us, agree on this?
Oh, yeah.
Blue?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through these from order, from the lower right, going across, stepping up, going across, stepping up, and going across, so forth and so on. Now, keep in mind that some of these are covered up by his lapel. And let's see right here. The first one, I got to looking at that and said, and let me step back right quick. That'll be this one right here. And it's kind of shadowed. Everything's kind of going around his chest right there. It's kind of puffed out as it would be. And so when you get to searching for that, that kind of looks like the overseas service ribbon. You can see the little bit of the yellow right there. And at any point in time that y'all disagree, Blue or Master Sergeant, speak up.
Yeah, I agree with that one. That
Yeah, that checks out.
And so for those of you that aren't aware of what the Army Overseas Service Ribbon is, let me move this out of the way. That was first issued in August of 1981, and it is presented to any member of the United States Army who completes a standard overseas tour of duty. So that means he's claiming he's been overseas. The length of a standard, y'all had to excuse me too. I had some eye procedures done this morning as I was talking to Master Sergeant earlier, and I'm kind of foggy right now with my eyesight, and I can't find my glasses. But it says the length of a standard tour is dependent upon the duty location, whether the soldier is accompanied or unaccompanied with a spouse or family members. So you can go read this. It's in Wikipedia and look it up, but that's just layman breakdown of what that is all about. So there's the first ribbon. Then we get this second one right here. So I get to studying it, get to looking at it, and let me zoom in on it. Yeah, I don't know with y'all. Can y'all see that very well?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me zoom in on it just a little bit for those that might have a hard time seeing. Now, it looks blurry, but those of you that have been in the military know the structure of how these ribbons work. When you start seeing stuff like this, you kind of start getting ideas. So let's move on to a comparison here. Zoom it in. Oh, let me step back here. Hold on just a second. Previous. Yeah, we're getting in some good ones right there. So we zoom in on that, and you just start lining everything up. Now, you got to keep in mind there's shadows and everything else. But going with his stories on what he's told, that would make that an Afghanistan campaign medal.
Which he never claimed.
So, and it's awarded to any member of the United States military who has performed duty within the borders of Afghanistan or its airspace for a period of 30 consecutive days or 60 non-consecutive days. The medal is retroactive to October 2001 and is active until a date to be determined. Now, here's the kicker. It was first awarded in June of 2005. So where was he in that time frame?
He was in jail. He was in jail for serious battery in the 3rd degree.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well, there you go.
If it could have been for service before that, to play devil's advocate, right? He wouldn't have received it, but he could have been awarded it after the fact.
Well, it's retroactive.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
Just like me when I requested my records here about 5 or 6 years, maybe even 10 years ago. Blue, I got 3 awards I didn't even know I had.
That's always good.
It was on my DD-214. I didn't even know it. I had my original, but that when they sent me all my current stuff, I had 3 awards on there I never even knew I got.
Not bad.
Okay. This is one I have not identified yet. Does this anything look familiar to y'all? I'm still looking it up. We'll zoom it up some.
I kind of went through a little bit. As far as Army ribbons, it doesn't look even closely resembling the way the stripes and stuff are. It's really hard to tell because of the bleed over and stuff.
Yeah, so but we do know that distinctly we have a solid center bar that's pretty wide in comparison. You've got white borders, white edges, white centers. And I'm going to say, what colors are these right here?
Look a little red to me.
Yeah, same
All
here.
right. And so
we don't think that's a Bronze Star, do we?
If it is, it's way out of whack. It's on the bottom.
Yeah, because that wouldn't be the right location.
But he's got them out of whack, I promise you.
Oh yeah, I had a theory that some of these might be Florida National Guard ribbons.
And I was headed there next.
Oh, don't let me stop you.
Well, no, I mean not on this particular broadcast. I don't have these.
This is the Bronze Star here. I don't know if I can get that close enough. It's got two large red sections and a very slim. I don't even know why this is on my desk.
Yeah, that would be.
I had my dress greens out the other day, and I think I had changed over. I bought the magnetic ones where it's all one piece, and then you put the magnet on the other side, and it holds them on your jacket. I haven't taken that thing out of the bag in 10 years.
Bethany, lovely, to my knowledge, there were no actual combat jumps into Fallujah. We're going to cover that too. I've got some stats for you. Okay, next ribbon. This is another unidentified one. What does that look like? That would be ribbon 5, so that's going to be on the second row in the middle.
It's not one of the Florida ones.
Yeah, I haven't identified that one yet.
Yeah. Here's my second theory is that he's using someone else's uniform, or he's recreated someone else's uniform without knowing what a lot of this stuff means. A lot of it
cannot think alike.
Accurate. So he might be wearing ribbons from a completely different state other than Florida, and then things that aren't awarded to active duty. That was a thought I had. I don't intend to go through every single state to try to find it.
Right. Okay, so that's one of these others I'm working on. Next one. This ought to start looking familiar. So let's kind of zoom in on this one a little bit. This gets real interesting. It almost looks like a face, but I have this one identified. What we have here is that appears to me to be a meritorious service medal.
You think he has the leaves on it?
The oak leaves, yeah.
There you go. Now wait a minute. Yeah, I saw those two anomalies, and I was like, well, that looks like a meritorious service medal with 2 oak leaf clusters. So he's had it 3 times.
Huh.
I only got one when I retired.
I haven't any. So
I don't know that I have any.
So he's got 3 meritorious service medals. So meritorious service medal, guys, those in the audience. It's a military award presented to members of the United States Armed Forces who distinguish themselves by outstanding meritorious achievement or service to the United States subsequent to January the 16th, 1969. The MSM was previously awarded as a decoration for achievement during peacetime, but effective September 11, 2001, this decoration may also be bestowed in lieu of the Bronze Star Medal for meritorious achievement in a designated combat theater.
Can you go back to the image of the?
Yes, sir. Which one?
This one, just on his chest.
The image on his chest?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm having to jockey this camera thing around here. Hold on.
That's fine.
The image on his chest.
Yeah. Let's see. Farther forward. Yeah, we're heading.
Right there.
Let's see. Go back to the zoomed in version of it.
This is a zoomed in version
of the individual one.
Oh,
okay.
The MSM.
Isolated.
The MSM.
Yes.
Okay. That is going to be this one. Let's zoom in. Let me zoom in.
Be No, it wouldn't be. I was seeing the multinational force and observer medal, but not for this. It just looked like one of the ones we've seen already.
Right. Okay.
I couldn't say for sure. It's all so blurry.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is, and I'm going to tell you, I was working trying to get this to where I could even section them out, and and that's how I was doing the comparison. Finding the image, then matching them up,
right,
and skewing them to where they looked similar, but still retain that shape as if they were on the chest. So, what do y'all think? Does that appear like an MSM?
It does. What was the what we're looking at? We were suggesting Bronze Star. Have we considered?
That's going to be up top.
Well, he's got a Silver Star. The very top ribbon, just under the CIB. It's by itself in the center.
Okay, blue. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That appears to be a Silver Star, is what he's got all the way at the top.
Okay, so this one is real fuzzy, hard to make out, but I'm going to try to walk y'all through this. This is the second row up. It's the sixth. No, this is ribbon number 9, so it's the third row up. And this shadow you see right here, from here over, let's go to it. That's his lapel on this side. So all you have of that ribbon is this right here. And when you start zooming in on it, you kind of start questioning yourself, looking and say, well, those could be digital anomalies. Let's go back here and keep playing with this some more and looking. Let's start cleaning it up. That looks like a Purple Heart.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That, or if we really wanted to get in some weird theories, Prisoner of War.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was wearing that.
So when you start zooming this in, I started seeing this stuff right here, but here is an actual photograph of a Purple Heart award. And when you start seeing this, you start seeing that same shimmering anomaly on this Purple Heart ribbon, that sheen that they have on them. That is a Purple Heart.
Yep. Wearing a Purple Heart, and he gets hit with Stolen Valor. That's going to get him a year.
That's for popping his riser.
Yeah. I mean, he'd wear it. Purple Heart is one of the ones you absolutely do not want to have in a uniform if you're pretending, because that's going to carry additional charge. Purple Heart, Bronze Star, Silver Star, Congressional Medal of Honor, a combat infantry badge, I think.
Oh, he's got one of those too.
He does. Those all carry year-long sentences as opposed to 6 months if he is convicted of stolen valor. So for his own sake, I really hope that's not one.
And Stephen in chat, you guys need to get Don Shipley. We'll just hold on. It gets better. Stay tuned. So this is the Purple Heart. For those, you can go to Wikipedia and look it up, but it's about getting wounded in combat, when it was come about, and how it gets awarded, the criteria to get a Purple Heart, which I can promise you didn't happen. So then we have this one. And this would be going up the scale. It's actually ribbon number 11. You can distinctly start seeing 3 stripes right here in the center, 3 small stripes, and this border here, and the border starting over here. So let's go see what I came up with.
That you beat me to it.
That is a Defense Meritorious Service Medal. For those of you that do not know what that is, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, a DMSM, is an award bestowed upon members of the United States military by the United States Department of Defense. In the order of precedence of the United States Armed Forces, it is worn between the Purple Heart and the MSM. The medal is awarded in the name of the Secretary of Defense to members of the armed forces who, while serving in joint activity, distinguished themselves by non-combat outstanding achievement or meritorious service but not to a degree to warrant the award of the Defense Superior Service Medal. My vision is just a little blurry. But anyway, so there you go. There's that one.
Hey, thank you there, combat mechanic. I wish we could drag him out there and take the uniform off of him. That'd be fun.
You guys all want to get together after this, fly down to Florida, hold him accountable?
I'll be down there.
Within the law.
Well, he's probably going to be in jail.
That's fair. We got to do a quick.
Right. And here's the criteria for meeting that. So moving on here. So the next thing I noticed, this is up there next to his neck, what you and I were just talking about, Blue. We'll zoom in, and this is up above his little stack he's got. And of course, you got her earring and stuff that's coming down right here. But I noticed this anomaly right here. See that jagged edge, and that's curving, and you see a shadow right up here going this way. Can y'all see that, chat? Okay.
Yeah, I picked out the bottom wreath on that first time I saw the picture of him.
It looks like that.
Yeah.
Kind of does, doesn't it?
You can only see like the very bottom
so here we go.
Part of the wreath.
When we zoom that in, you start seeing these cut ends right here. You got your cut ends right here. And this gap right here, that's this gap right here.
Mm-hmm.
And the bar you got up there that's your receiver on your rifle.
And that's actually another strike against him. That's a combat badge that he's wearing.
Mm-hmm.
As you were saying, Blue, the CIB, CAB, the combat ribbons, stuff like that.
North Coast Flea. I want to look that up. Thank you for putting that out there. He said that second unknown is an Iraq campaign medal. So I will look that one up because we're going to identify all this junk on his chest. Guys, this is just a generic random image off the internet. Notice that the name tag says brag. And look at this. It's impressive looking, right? And what were you saying earlier, Blue, about like he maybe replicated somebody?
That is exactly my thought.
Look how similar they look.
I mean, I tried to tear this apart. I did. I was looking up AR-670-1. I was going through the regs. I was looking at images, and honestly, this is a very well put together uniform. It looks accurate to the point where I assumed that maybe he had taken it from someone else to put on. Although if that was just the case, like, oh, I'll just throw this jacket on, haha, he wouldn't have the stuff underneath as well. That's just too perfect.
Yeah. And Frank Perry that just donated $5. Thank you for that on Master Sergeant's behalf. But did you see one of his last videos? He said no one has clearance to look him up. Let me explain something to you. That's the first go-to excuse for somebody that's claiming stolen valor. Their records were destroyed, or their security clearance is so high not even the president can find their records. That's bullshitty da.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, so the one. Let me just bring this up real quick. The one thing I did bring up, and I spent. I was at Fort Bragg from January of '83, and I left to go to Germany in October of '87. I lived off base. Me and my wife. I had my next door neighbors. One of them was Special Forces. One of them, he started out. He was an E7 actually in 325th Infantry, and he went to the Delta selection and got picked up. And I've known, lots of Special Forces guys, and I could tell you one thing that you will never see a Special Forces officer or NCO wearing, and that is a blue infantry cord. It doesn't happen. It does not happen. They're not infantry anymore. They're 18 series. But you'll never see a Special Forces guy ragged out wearing a blue cord. I guarantee you. That was the first thing that I saw the crossed arrows and I was like, that's SF. Why is he wearing an infantry cord? Because they don't.
So let's kind of get into Fallujah a little bit.
Jump in, you mean?
These are the what? Okay, these are the operations in Fallujah. United States Army, and then it went to the Marines. The Fallujah that most folks know is when the Marines were in there. But yes, the U.S. Army was there first. There were no combat jumps. And these here, look at the dates: June 15th and 16th, 2003, January 13th, 2004 for the United States Army. Where was Mr. Dewitte
Not
in
there.
his life?
I think he was on probation, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was facing charges for falsifying official documents, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember when he came off of probation from his impersonating the first time. I know that didn't adjudicate until like 2001. And then he was trying to get off his parole there for something. I don't know what it was, but and then they hit him with a parole violation for having a weapon and something else. And which
I think he had flashing red and blue lights at that time on his vehicle.
Yeah, he was working as a security guard, but doesn't matter. You can't have a weapon when you're a convicted felon.
Or have a security license.
North Coast Fleet, that's what we're getting into now. The following are all the combat jumps of United States Army units since September the 11th, 2001. You had Objective Rhino, just 38 days after the horrific attacks of September 11th, the 75th Ranger Regiment sent 200 of their most badass Rangers to meet with the 101st Airborne Division 100 miles north of Kandahar, Afghanistan, the last bastion of complete Taliban control in Afghanistan. The Rangers landed on a derelict strip of land and expected heavy resistance. In actuality, they found just one lone Taliban fighter who presumably shit himself as 200 Rangers dropped in on him. There, they established a sufficient forward operating base called FOB Rhino, which opened the way to take back Kandahar for the Afghan people. Then, the second one was Objective Serpent. The 75th Rangers, who were particularly heavy on this list, led the way into Iraq by making combat jumps into Iraq in March 2003, the first in Iraq since Desert Storm. The Rangers landed in the region a few weeks earlier by airborne insertion to capture the lead operational planner of the September 11th attacks. They accomplished this within 3 days of touching boots on the ground. The next wave of 2nd Battalion 75th Rangers came in and secured this place right here and Haditha before making their way into Baghdad. Okay. Here we go. Let me zoom this in just a little bit. I can't find my glasses and I'm blind as a bat. Okay.
Arash, thank you so much. That's awesome. I appreciate it very much.
Then we have Operation Northern Delay is the third one in the early morning of March 26, 2003. 996 soldiers of the 173rd Airborne Division jumped into the relatively empty Bashir airfield and stopped 6 entire divisions of Saddam's army from continuing on to Baghdad. This marked the first wave of conventional troops in the region and the beginning of the end of Saddam's regime. Hold on, I just lost my... Various regimental reconnaissance detachment jumps in Afghanistan. There were some of those. Very little is known about the last 2 publicly disclosed combat jumps, as is the case with most ISOC missions, other than the fact that they were both conducted by the 75th Ranger Regiment's Regimental Reconnaissance Company Teams 3 and 1.
Yeah, I knew the 173rd had a jump in Iraq, but
yes,
I think they were the only ones, and almost all the rest of the stuff was over in Afghanistan.
And of course, this is a photographic copy. I have the PDF file too.
I'm going to make a comment on this. Now, he sent this to me a while back, and the minute I saw it, this is what they call a standard form 180. This is what you submit to get documentations from the National Personal Record Center. This comes from Mary and Chuck Shantag, who have been doing Stolen Valor for years. And all of the stuff that you see overlaid on that form, you got to have that stuff in there to get what you're really looking for. And Mary perfected this form down perfectly. And I still use this exact same form for everyone I send in. And it works great. Why am I getting a gift from Zoom?
Yeah, unlimited minutes. Hell, we can go all night now. We can go all night. We can do a marathon.
Let's do it.
So that was the original request. And then this is from the Department of the Army. And I'll zoom in on this so I can read it. It sucks getting old. Dear name redacted. This is in response to your request for the military personnel files pertaining to Mr. Jeremy C. Dewitte. Your request was processed under the provisions of the Freedom of Information Privacy Acts. No records pertaining to Mr. Jeremy C. Dewitte were found within the Interactive Personnel Electronic Records Management Systems, IPERMS, database. An additional search was also conducted at the National Personnel Records Center located in St. Louis, Missouri, with negative results.
Well, that's not good for him, is it?
Folks, if this guy even attempted to join basic training and washed out within the first week, there would be a record of it.
Yep.
Once you sign the paperwork in MEPS,
it's a record.
And my thing has always been like, look, hey man, maybe we don't have access to what you did, but we'll have access to its existence. If you have such a high clearance that your stuff is, super top secret, Delta Force, Ranger, infantry, whatever, cool. It'll all be redacted. It'll be blacked out. It will just be bars of black, but your name will still be there. It will still exist.
And guys,
most of the information.
To add something to Blue there, what he's saying, it's like me. I spent 10 years. I spent 4 years active duty. When I left Korea, I was already knew what unit I was going to in the Army National Guard because there was not a reserve unit close to me that was appealing. I knew where I was going, but whenever I talk about my times, even if I didn't want to show you a DD-214, if I talk about Korea, I can show you photographs. I can show you digital visual proof of being there and done it. Or I can give you names to people that you can call that were there. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Jeremy can too, but they're fake. That's all. There'd be unlisted numbers or something.
And on the lighter side, if I were to believe he jumped into Fallujah and broke a riser, then if it were in a Motel 6 somewhere in Orlando and the hooker's name was Fallujah, I'd believe it.
Out of all the time I spent on airborne status at Fort Bragg, the only time I ever saw a riser pop is when you popped it on the ground to keep from getting dragged. That's it. I've never seen a chute malfunction where the K-POM popped loose. Never. The parachutes are all, and I've received these questions in some of the comments. Parachutes are reused. They get shaken out. Any repairs get made. They've actually got an MOS for parachute riggers. There's a log book that's tucked in one of the risers. You pull it out, you can see who last packed it. But as far as that failing, I've never seen one fail. Now, I've seen them to where you can hardly get them to break free, and you're getting your ass drug across Sicily, DZ. But not fun. But yeah, the riser pop thing, he must watch some really crazy TV or something. That must be where he's getting it from. I don't know.
Well, for those that are, I've had a lot of people during all this unfolding. I've been following this for over a year now. And I'm sure Blue Bacon, I'm sure that Master Sergeant, y'all have seen this too. People are like, what's the big deal? So he's got some war military uniform, whatever. What's the big deal? Guys, it may appear like that, but for those of us that served, when you see that Special Forces flag hanging behind that wall, or behind him in his videos, or that Army flag, or that folded flag, or all them little trinkets and doodads that he's got that signify something military, and he wears that Ranger roll in his cap, and then he says 6 a.m. or 0600.
Oh my God,
that's military speak.
Personally attacked when he did that.
That is something that gets into all veterans because they realize he's still carrying on in his facade.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't believe it, go listen to that audio of him talking about act as if, when he was discussing about, it was his own voice where he was having that conversation talking about how people assume, or if he acts as if he's a cop without saying it, and they assume as if he is, and he does everything he can to encourage it and doesn't do anything to deter that. And that's the same way he's doing his military.
Yes. There's a lot of passive convincing. So him having those flags, he's never going to get hit with stolen valor for having those flags, for people coming to their own conclusions. The problem is we have him on video saying, yes, I was these things. I have evidence that strongly indicates. I don't have, I'm putting together a solid collection of the jobs he's had, whether or not they believe that he was military, and whether or not the decision to hire him was based on that. I'm putting that together right now. Chance Scholl, he was a guy who, he's DHS, Department of Homeland Security, former military police, a guy who should probably know better. He believed Jeremy was military. He actually worked for Jeremy as one had his little motorcycle, whatever's, I assume it was motorcycle. Now, Chance runs the Shadow Warrior Riders Motorcycle Club in Florida. He is the president of that. They have hired him to be security, which he is not allowed to do in any means. Like, he doesn't have the license. He's using his lights, his horns. He doesn't have the legal authority to do that. I don't really care about that. That's going to be its own thing. But the problem is that it seems likely that Chance hired him because he believed that he was a soldier, because Shadow Warrior Riders is a soldier organization. It's a civilian veteran organization that's put together to honor veterans. And so the decision to hire someone who is allegedly a veteran was probably really, when they heard that, they would probably went, oh yeah, well, that's the perfect choice. And if that was a factoring or a contributing factor to the decision, then all of a sudden Jeremy has now used these false claims for pecuniary gain, meaning that he gained financially from it, which makes it stolen valor. So even if you don't care about the military, it is still illegal. There are a lot of things that he probably won't get charged for at the federal level. It turns out him wearing that
CIB
medal, he actually could maybe get hit under state law, although it wouldn't. I don't think it would survive an appeals process. There's a lot of stuff here that is very questionable.
I think the state, hold on one second. I've got it here somewhere. I looked it up. No, I don't have it right off the tip of my tongue, but Florida does have a parallel stolen valor type statute, and it's a third-degree felony. And those guys, I don't remember what the number is. I looked it up the other day. I had it in my other video, and I wish I still had it. I'd bring it up, but it's actually a third-degree felony, and they've already got enough evidence to where they could charge him or tag that on to the 8 or 9 felonies he's already facing. His first trial's coming up the first week of April, and that's not the Orange County, but Osceola. And I'll be curious to see where that one goes, because he may be appearing in Orange County in a jumpsuit.
We've got a guy here that if his story were true, he was a 23-year-old major with 14 years in the U.S. Army. A 23-year-old major with 14 years in the Army. Let that sink in.
It's pretty difficult in the commissioned officer realm to, I mean, you have to hit every mark. Usually a major, 12 to 14 years, maybe. I've seen them go a lot longer than that before they make major.
Yeah. It's doable. It's unlikely.
Very unlikely, especially in SF.
Yeah, well, and I can promise you, if he was a 23-year-old major with 14 years in and jumping into Fallujah and with all that metal on his chest, Audie Murphy's record would get surpassed real quick. But the thing is, you know, he's got 14 years. I've got 10 years in. And you know what? I was in the Division Support Command over in the 2nd ID. And we kept all the tankers and the scouts and everything going. And we were frontline. we did the alerts just like everybody else. And, we were always taught that like some of these people like, well, I'm a clerk. What I got to do that. And I can remember a sergeant when I was a young private put it into perspective, said it doesn't matter when push comes to shove, you're going to put that pencil down and pick up a rifle because your first MOS is infantry.
Yeah.
But the thing is it doesn't compare. It doesn't, my time that I spent 10 years doesn't compare. It pales in comparison to his 14 years. The only difference is mine was real. Mine was real.
I do have the Florida statute that I want to run by you guys.
Okay.
So it's 817.312 for those of you who want to follow along at home. Person may not, let's see, wear the uniform of or any medal or insignia authorized for use by members or veterans of the United States Air Force, United States Army, United States Coast Guard, United States Marine Corps, United States Navy, or the National Guard, which he or she is not authorized to wear. Although Jeremy can wear it, he has not been authorized to wear it. So in particular, I'm going to focus on his marksmanship badge, which had, I think, machine gun and pistol, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that. I had trouble seeing it from where I was on the stage, but I did give it a good look, and I'm fairly certain that's what I saw. So that is a military insignia, basically, or medal. You could make the argument. I don't know if it would be fully legally sound. The argument can be made. The second part of this would be or for the purpose of material gain. So receiving financial compensation would be material gain. If he's using that while receiving financial gain, saying, look, yeah, see, you might think that this is worn because I was a soldier and those skills transfer over. Great. It's not a terribly strong argument on the state level, but it could be made if the state was interested in sort of just buying themselves time, hemming him up, sort of keeping him off the road, that sort of thing. I think it could be made without any sort of legal repercussion for the state. I don't think it would survive a challenge, but it's definitely incredibly risky just from that one thing alone. Now, him being in uniform, him telling people that he was a soldier, him doing all these things, I think that if a case was brought against him, it would have some pretty devastating consequences for him. And you can claim, oh, but freedom of expression, freedom of whatever, et cetera, et cetera. People get convicted of stolen valor. It does happen. Your freedom of expression only goes so far in this case. Once you actually are deceiving people and committing fraud by convincing them to believe you're something you're not and giving you money for it, that is a crime. So he's playing a very dangerous game, which is what he's been doing for the last decade. So there's nothing new to him.
Well, it's just, and you're right. And the thing is where he admits it is where he talks about he acts as if.
Yeah, and it's all it's just his persona. It's just what he does. It's I called. They got a satellite FBI office down in Orlando. They don't have like a field office, and I left a message down there, and I haven't heard back. Probably not going to hear back. Number one, it's not really a big case. It's not terrorists or anything like that. There used to be an FBI agent that worked with Mary and Doug before he retired, and he was hitting them pretty hard back a while. But he has since retired, and I really haven't seen too many being charged unless they have filed fraudulent VA claims where they've received thousands of dollars. And there was one that was just prosecuted just recently. I forget how many years he got, plus he's got to pay restitution and fines and everything else. But $76,000, that's a big nut to crack.
And as far as stolen valor goes, if you just boil it down to one small simple thing, somebody like that cheapens what real veterans have stood for. Now, because they clown actions. They're just clowning.
Blue, did he not receive benefit when he was given the military discount to the charity ride? He did, since
I actually don't think. I think we have that.
Thanks again, Frank. I appreciate it.
I think the guy calling was saying, you offer military discounts to military members. I'm a military member. I would like to receive that discount. I don't think it would have been Jeremy receiving a discount and therefore shouldn't apply. It's just that Jeremy is saying, since I am a soldier, I respect other soldiers and will offer them a discount. So Jeremy is not receiving any any financial gain from it. In fact, he's actually losing money in that deal from what he would normally charge. So I think that no, charges could not be pressed for that particular incident.
Well, and as far as James Kay said, he'd love to see an interview with the Customs and Border Security guys or the female officers outside that Buffalo Wild Wings in Tampa. I'd love to talk to them too, because that's where he really started spilling his guts, talking about 12, 14 years in the Army, and he was a major. And and
that's what gets me as well, is if he's going to claim that he did such top secret stuff, he's on a personnel record, why is he just blabbing to random strangers on the street? If it's that secret, why does everyone get to know?
That is the typical thing.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I got somebody, I brought up a case I'm working on, never mentioned any names. Somehow or another, I guess this guy now has sent my video out to all his prison buddies. Kind of, I don't know what he's trying to get at with it. And I haven't gone over to his channel to see exactly what this is. Somebody sent me a PM and said, hey, he's telling everybody, go watch this video. This guy's an asshole, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't have his records back. I did check him in the Manpower database, and the time frames that he's talking about, there's no active duty shown for him whatsoever. So I'm thinking when I do get the records back, they're going to be just like Jeremy. Who? That's what they're going to say.
Hey, 10th Mountain Division. Are you talking to me or Master Sergeant? I was at
probably,
Camp Casey too.
I missed it.
Yeah, he said, hey, Sarge, when you were in Korea, did you ever drink the soju? 10th Mountain Division, if I mention terms like Thunder Run or a kettle, you'd know what I was talking about. Or bulgogi and kagogi, the difference, and you don't question it at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're walking back on base and you're hungry because all the bars are closed, the Burger King's closed, that's across the street from the main gate at Casey. So you stop at the street vendor and you spend a couple of won and buy the bulgogi on the stick, and you ask them kagogi or bulgogi, and they go, bulgogi, you just don't question it, eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Would that verify that I've been in Korea?
Checks out from what I've heard.
That was my first duty assignment. I was with the 552nd MP Company. This is a crazy story.
Wait a minute. Penny Bedore, she said something about I don't know how he would have gotten a VA loan to buy his house when we verify everything. Penny, did he buy that house? I've seen some financial stuff too, and I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
the Turtle Ditch is 10th Mountain Division. How about the Turtle Ditch, Turtle Ditches and the Turtle Farm?
So I was with the 55 Deuce down at Pusan when I was over there. And when I was getting relieved in Iraq in 2007, the unit that relieved my MP company was the 552nd MP Company. So I got relieved by my very first company, which was kind of crazy. And they thought it was hilarious. Jesus Christ, how old are you? I'm old enough to know better than I should be here, but I was there.
Well, so he's saying he got a VA loan for his house.
Did he actually say that? I don't remember that.
Penny said he did. He according to him, he did. That's what she just said.
No, there's absolutely no way he got one, because number one, if you're a financial institute, you use the SCRA site to validate anybody's active duty time. And I mean, they've got ways that the banks know for a fact if you're a veteran or not.
Mm-hmm. Now, I use the VA loan. I'm in a house that is being paid for by a VA loan. It's fantastic. It's a lot of paperwork, and they do check all of that. I'm fairly certain I had to provide a DD-214, which is the paper, for those of you who don't know, it's paperwork that basically says that you did serve. Here, the awards you received, the time you spent, the rank you achieved, et cetera, et cetera. Some people have blankets made out of them. I am tempted to do it as well, just because best night's sleep is having a DD-214. They would have checked, they would have confirmed, it would have been nigh impossible for him to have actually made that happen. But he's made a lot of false claims about his home. He claims it's close to $500,000. He's insinuated. He's never directly claimed, but he's insinuated that his house is worth close to $500,000. It is not. He bought it for somewhere around $238,000, $240,000. It is valued, as far as tax goes, at around $170,000 to $180,000. It has risen maybe a few thousand in value since it has been purchased. It is not 6 bedrooms like he claims it is 4. He has referenced his electrical panel as, evidence that the house is so enormous. That electrical panel, I checked with an electrician, is fairly standard size. And then when you actually check the house size, it's something like 1,700 square feet, which is fairly average for the area. So he's lied so much about his home. I wouldn't trust anything that comes out of his mouth regarding it, honestly. He could say that he doesn't have a roof anymore. I'd be like, well, I don't know what to believe. He'd be like, well, it has floors. I'm like, does it though? Or does it go straight down to China? I really he could say anything. I'd be like, gotta check that, because the things he said about it that we can verify are false are extensive. And I do this for a living. I fact check things. I find out information. He knows this. I said it on Dr. Phil. They cut it out of my bit. They added on to my intro, and they took away some of the things I said to Dr. Phil. And one of the things was, he asked, what do you do as a private investigator? And I said, I basically find facts. I get information, put into a coherent narrative, and then go from there to find out basically what there is to know about that situation, write a report, present it, go on to the next, right? My job is fact finding. Jeremy does not make it difficult to check him on just about everything that he says. And the things that he does say, I can't fact check him. He knows nobody can fact check him. So he just makes things up. The Dr. Phil episode, when he's saying that I got kicked off the stage, no one can verify that, because no one but the producers has the footage. And good luck convincing them that this is an important little squabble they have to get involved in. They don't care. And I understand that. But he makes these claims that are not true, knowing he can get away with it, which brings us back to stolen valor. He's making these claims that are not true. I guess he didn't realize people could verify it, because now he's getting real upset about it.
That's why he refuses to answer. When
he will not. Yeah.
This is a year and 3 months ago, or 2 months ago, right after I got the clarification that he had no military records, I called him. And Blue, you and I talked about this.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
I called him, and I told him, I said, and of course he told me it wasn't him. He gave me another name, and I'm not going to say it just yet, but told me that Jeremy was out of town with his wife. And I just told him, I said, this would be the time to clarify, deny, expound upon, explain, quantify, qualify, whatever these claims, because if you let it try to go away and push it under the rug, it's going to turn into a train wreck.
Hey, I want to talk about one thing, and I see this a lot in comments and so on and so forth, and on Facebook. Everybody talks about him wearing a bulletproof vest. Yes, felons are not supposed to just be wearing a bulletproof vest. However, they are allowed to be employed by someone that requires them to wear a vest. Since Jeremy works for himself, what do you think? It's going to be a job requirement for him to wear a bulletproof vest. That's how he's going to get around it. But it is correct. They're not supposed to have body armor. And that's how he's getting over on it. That's why nobody's approached him, or probably, even they're thinking more about the guy walking down the street and he's got a vest on.
I'd like to add on to that, if I may.
Say it, sure.
So with the vest, obviously the police know he has it. He was wearing it when they first arrested him. He's not allowed to purchase body armor. He is allowed to wear it, with the exception of during the commission of a crime. But generally, the commission of a crime would be something where you would get into a shootout. So, for example, if I'm robbing a bank and I'm wearing body armor, well, that's to ensure my success in robbing that bank. And therefore, the wearing of that body armor would be illegal, regardless of the success of not only actually robbing the bank, but even being part of the, if I get picked up before I rob the bank at all, I can still get charged for that. So in his case, the crime he is committing while wearing it probably doesn't fall into that category, although I'm not entirely sure that's going to be up to, looking through case law and really going through that statute. So the wear is probably fine. The purchase, he's not allowed to personally purchase it, but other people can purchase it for the company. If you look through the records of the company, you'll notice that until 2020, No one actually owned, like, he didn't actually own the company. It was Mark Bell owned the company. It was Leanda McMurtry owned the company. It was some misspelling of Jeremy Dewitte owned the company, which is a crime if he did that with the intent of not being caught, owning that company. It was, there's a fourth one I'm trying to remember, Jessica Bolden owned the company. They owned the LLC, or they owned the fictitious name for the company. The fictitious name being, you register a name for your company so other people can't use it. He hasn't had his name on that until 2020. So someone's obviously, working a lot of this paperwork for him to keep him from getting caught up in the red tape that he, as a felon, as a sex offender, etc., would have to basically work his way through. So I have no doubt that one of those 4 people is buying him body armor, and maybe he's paying them back. Maybe he's not. We know he's having a little bit of trouble with money right now, and paying things is difficult for him. So if he's getting new body armor, maybe it's just a gift. But old body armor, he is, I imagine, compensating people. And that for the compensation, you could suggest that, no, that is technically a purchase. It's financial compensation for a gift, which makes it not a gift, because a gift is given freely within the law generally. There are exceptions to that. It can get really complicated. If you look at things like divorce and wedding rings, you start to get into that sort of weirdness. But yeah, I think it's too complicated for the state to focus on right now. They've got easier things to prove that are going to put a stop to his shenanigans. They hope to a degree, certainly a strong degree, I also hope. But mostly I hope that justice prevails in either direction. So if they wanted to charge him with that, I'm sure they can make a case, but they are focusing on what they have for right now.
Okay, let's see. I want to go back and approach a couple things that's been said in chat about the honor flag, the special forces flag. Guys, those items each within themselves are harmless. Anybody can have one. You could have a special forces flag in your home to pay tribute to somebody that served, that and that's all honest and well and good. The problem that we have here is they're all trinkets and doodads. We'll call them, it's a prop. They're stage settings. It's all part of that big assume as if, and he puts off a persona so that people see these and assume that he is and he's not.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're for, and that's why it's wrong. But as far as if he were to come clean and say, no, I was never in the Army and blah, 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 and then that's all well and good. But
just think of how much
the intent of why they're there, and we know it.
Just think of how much fuel he could take out of the fire that he's in by just coming clean on this. We wouldn't have anything. I mean, granted, you go after a lot of the law enforcement stuff because, I mean, you love that stuff, and I know it.
I do. Oh, boy, do I.
So that's why I mainly focus on the stolen valor stuff. I do, like I said, I got a background in law enforcement, but I like the stolen valor stuff, and I've been doing it since about a year before I retired, actually, is when I really got started. And it's been fun. I've had more people threaten to come beat my ass or burn my house down or kill my family, and come on. And if they're convicted felons, it's come on, but you better not bring an airsoft. I just don't worry about it. It is what it is. But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about the bulletproof vest and the cuffs and how many sets of cuffs does he carry?
Well, he had 2 on the back of his belt the other day when he was getting ready.
And his BB gun or pepper ball gun, whatever that is he carries. Guys, I told y'all before, he's thinking outside the box. That's in case during a funeral escort, the body reanimates, he's covered. He's protected.
Doesn't have to worry about the zombies.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I have a thing that I was reminding of that you guys might appreciate.
What's that?
So there's some hidden gems in the comment section of Jeremy's videos. I don't go through them because there's generally not a reason to, but occasionally someone is kind enough to reach out to me and say, hey, I found this thing. I think both of you might have done something similar at some point. If you have, I've forgotten what particular thing it was.
Oh, wait a minute.
wait, the left hand. Gotta mirror that image. So in it, some guys like, oh man, like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to basic training, being 11 extra. And Jeremy has taken upon himself to give that kid some advice, being like, oh, don't worry. Basic trainings or boot camp is hard, but it's designed to pass and you'll be fine. You know, just keep working through it and all these other things. And I hear you're going to go OCS. Great. Can't wait to see it. Blah, blah. He never says like, oh, I was in the military. I wasn't in the military. This is giving advice as if he was. Now, this advice basically is the exact advice that a recruiter will give you before you ship off from MEPS to go, you know, start your training. It is not more in depth than that. Nothing he said is terribly inaccurate. The whole "it's designed for you to pass" is fairly true, actually. It's just, you know, by design to pass, that can mean, you know, designed to pass 6 months after everyone else has, because they'll keep recycling you, right? They'll keep you in. You will pass, but it might take a while, and they'll be happy to make that happen. So yes, everything he's saying strikes true, but everything he's saying basically reminds me of what I was told when I went in. So it kind of feels like, we know that he tried to go into the National Guard and then, you know, committed felonies, and they went, you know what, we're not going to take you anymore. So I 100% believe that this is advice he's just parroting from a recruiter from back in the day. And when he talks about like, oh yeah, I was trained by the Army, I can only assume what he means was, oh, I was taught to do push-ups and read military time and, you know, the rank structure by my recruiter to get me prepared for basic training, right? Like all these things, he has these little things that he blows up into the much bigger things. So he has like a kernel of truth that he's expanded to the point where it's no longer popcorn, you know?
Well, but everything his military speak that he uses, it's with the design to give him credibility and to add to his facade that he is in fact military. That's
just because you don't have the right GS level, right? Is your
GS level, and you know how many times I asked somebody what their GS level was? Never.
Never.
If I ever found out someone's GS level, it's because they told me, because they were a civilian, like, oh yeah, I'm GS 7.
Hey,
and trying to get, like, I've never asked.
10th Mountain Division, when I first went in '87, they we called it DLI, Defense Language Institute, because I was going to try to go in for Russian and I failed miserably.
Russia's hard.
Yes, it is. Very hard.
Hey, I think this will classify for NCOPD, won't it?
Yeah. Primary leadership or primary, that's PLDC.
Non-commissioned officer professional development.
Professional development course.
Yeah, they don't call it that anymore.
Well, NCOPD, we used to do that like on Thursdays or something. The sergeant major would get us all together and basically chew our ass is what it ended up being. But
there you go.
They called
Sounds like a sergeant major, yeah.
They called it NCOPD, non-commissioned officer professional development.
How many of y'all, when y'all first showed up at basic training and you were sitting I was at Fort Leonard Wood, and they had us in this big auditorium, and this big black drill sergeant from Alabama stepped up on stage, looked like he's 8 foot tall. And he said, I was only 17. And he looked around this big, huge auditorium. He said, for those of you that were wondering, I just want to go ahead and clear the air and tell you now, yes, your drill sergeant lied to you.
Oh, I always enjoyed the don't thank me, thank your recruiter. No. Oh, Leonard Wood, though. That is a garbage place. And it's all right. There's just nothing around it. I assume when you were there was nothing around it. And then, of course, you just fell off the weather. Nope.
So, the cologne and the watches and combat mechanic was asking. He's bragging about all that stuff, but he probably got it off of Amazon and it came from China.
Right? And you can get that stuff faked easy.
And seriously though, guys, and I was just telling Master Sergeant this afternoon, is that when I literally started looking these ribbons up, and I forgot what side I was on, trying to go through because there's a bunch of them, and I found 2 of his ribbons off one, because when I looked at that ribbon and determined what it was, I scrolled down. It's just like Amazon. He said people that bought this also bought these. And it was 2 more ribbons that he had.
Oh, weird. That's so strange.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, all right, guys. I'm gonna chop it off. It's been an hour. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody coming in. Sergeant E5 ETS. I almost called you by your name. That would have been good. Sergeant Blue Bacon. Man, it's great to have you guys in here. I know.
Sergeant.
Sergeant. We've been trying to get. Yeah, Jeremy would have a blast. He wouldn't he wouldn't be able to stop saying sergeant. You know, I tried calling him. He wouldn't answer my number.
Shocking.
I guess anything out of state or a number he doesn't know, he doesn't answer. I mean, I tried to reach out to him, but it is. But, you know, everybody that tuned in for the live, I hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to do this again. You know, I'd be more than happy to set it up again or go on blues or whatever. But right now, we're just waiting until that first week of April. That's going to be the first trial. So that's going to determine whether all the stuff in Orlando, if he's wearing orange or not when he shows up for court. So with that, again, thanks, guys. I appreciate it so much. All you people that donated, that's amazing. And just for tuning in, I really appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and sign for now. Anybody got any parting words?
I appreciate you having me on. I'm not done with it yet, so whenever you get ready to do it again, let me know.
All right, we'll keep digging.
I'll be trying to do one of these of my own.
All right, sounds good.
Get you guys in.
I'll tell you what, getting the Zoom thing to work correctly was a nightmare because I'm on an iMac. So I had to kind of juggle some audio stuff, but it seems like everything worked. And again, thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night, y'all.